Welcome, everyone, to yet another episode of Truth Be Told, where we take the facts of the financial world, all the information that's swirling about on the internet, and give the truth that is often hidden from all those disparate facts and bring them to you every weeknight. We have got a full panel and a full lineup of stuff to talk about, so let's get cracking. We've got the long-awaited return of Joey. How you doing, sir?
Stop the world. I want to get off.
Sorry, this ride don't stop for nobody. Sorry, Joey. We also have another returning guest in Ocelot. How you doing, sir? Our world's favorite Bastet.
Hello, pretty well.
Awesome. And of course, we've got Amy, that girl trader. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
And to bring about our 5-card full house, we have got Platinum Sparkles. It's guys full of gals tonight.
Hello.
Full house. I think at least one person will get the poker joke here. How you doing, Joey? So tonight, to start things off, well, we have our main events kicking off the meme stock side of the Wolfspeed stuff, but we usually start out with something a little bit more mainstream to kick us off. I didn't get this loaded up in advance. Whoops. I was slacking, guys. Really slacking. There we go. So we've got the Logan Paul lawsuit. We had a minor update where the report and recommendations was approved as to the denial of the dismissal as a matter of law, which that I don't think was a particular surprise. I think given the muddiness of the issue, I don't think we're going to see a motion to dismiss. I don't think we're going to see a summary judgment. But what we did get is a SIR reply from Logan Paul as to the reply brief that happened with Coffeezilla last time we were on. What had happened last time, I think it was only Platinum that was here, was that Logan had in brief mentioned that the SEC and FBI investigations had petered out. And Coffeezilla's lawyers came back with, oh, really now? Because the only reason the SEC investigation stopped was because Trump decided that, crime should be legal. And the FBI investigation is, according at least to Coffeezilla's lawyers, still ongoing. We also got from Coffeezilla's lawyers the actual grand jury subpoena for information from Logan Paul. And while we didn't get the results of it, we got exactly in detail in the exhibit what the FBI or was it the SEC was looking for in that grand jury. So wait, it was a grand jury, so it would have been the FBI, it'd be the DOJ. Yeah, that makes sense because the SEC would just subpoena that stuff, which is really funny because as we mentioned, Platinum, like there was an actual like case number for the subpoena that you could look up on Pacer, but I put in the number. The Logan Paul subpoena isn't there. So is the case ongoing? Is it not ongoing? Hard to tell. Like all we have is the word of the two sides who are obviously going to say what benefits them and makes the narrative of their case. And there's no real way for us to confirm. I mean, if there was an ongoing investigation, they wouldn't, the FBI or the DOJ isn't going to say because it's an ongoing investigation. And like we had talked about with the one video from the previous interview all the way back when this kicked off, when Coffeezilla dropped his videos on the whole CryptoZoo thing, the guy had speculated that Logan Paul, maybe the investigation isn't going on with him because he's done a pre-trial deferment or to prevent him from going to being indicted, where he goes about either fixing the CryptoZoo project or making the victims whole again to avoid prosecution. So that may be what's going on too. Why Logan Paul, you haven't seen anything against him yet, not the investigation still be ongoing. But as far as the DOJ or the FBI is concerned, he's not an issue because he's going through the diversionary, to basically make good for the people who were defrauded to avoid having to go to trial. But as far as where we're at now, this was on the 19th, so this was Monday. Logan Paul basically asked the court for leave to file the SIR reply. So a little bit of background legally, if you make a motion, you get your motion, the other side gets to reply in opposition, and then you get your further reply in support if you wish to. And then after that, it's considered fully brief, and we go to a hearing or the court rules on the papers. You can file what's called a SIR reply, but it has to be approved by the court. So what they have done is filed their motion for the court to approve the SIR reply with the attached exhibit of the actual SIR reply.
Certain members of the meme stock community would do well to remember that the court needs to approve a SIR reply.
The SIR reply.
Please leave these people alone unless they tell you it's okay.
Yeah. And you have to attach, it's less so much about SIR replies because they usually never get to that. But like the same thing goes if you're filing an amicus brief. You don't just get to file onto the docket unless both the plaintiff and defendant already agree with you filing your amicus. You have to file it for approval with the court. So unless you're the government, because government always gets special perks. So basically what this is a response to Coffeezilla bringing up the different investigations. So the first one here is defendant's response to plaintiff's background, contrary to the fault. So he brings up what Coffeezilla pointed out in his filing. So saying that, it was a false narrative, and then they respond with Coffeezilla failed to even mention that Ibanez Greenbaum in his whistleblower prevention presentation to the government on the 22nd. Defendant's claim in part is that plaintiff's false narrative specifically includes information about Greenbaum in an email sent on October 19, 2022, 4 days before the presentation. And it basically goes back and forth like this, where they're basically taking the response that Coffeezilla did, and they're responding to each of the different with their side of the story. So we got also Coffeezilla failed to inform the government in his whistleblower presentation that his own analysis showed plaintiff had not sold any zoo tokens, and that there was no indication plaintiff had profited from the project. And they're basically going through each part of that. And then they get to the first to file analysis, which I understand the legal tactic, what's going on with the first to file, but like we saw in I believe it was the X via the advertisers, if you wait too long on these, the court can see it as sort of gamesmanship. And that's exactly the argument that Paul's lawyers are going with here, that basically Coffeezilla put this out after their motion to dismiss failed. They're obviously trying to prolong the case. They don't really go after so much of the citations. I assume that's because that they felt that they were, well, they gave us one here, that they felt that most of the citations they gave in their reply in opposition handles the argument just fine. But overall, since it's a SIR reply, there's not much here going on that we haven't already heard from the plaintiffs, other than responding to the claims as to the timeline that Coffeezilla gave as to the FBI and SEC investigation, and that basically their argument being that Coffeezilla purposely excluded information in his reports to the SEC and the FBI with the intent of trying to damage to damage Logan Paul's reputation, which is kind of a hard argument to make because we didn't know any of this information until it was made public in this lawsuit. So, yeah, I don't know how it seems like a kind of a half-boiled argument, if you know what I mean.
Baked.
Oh, what was that, Amy?
I said half-baked.
Half-baked, like not fully baked potato. It's kind of hard in the center. Not.
Gross.
I mean, some people like it that way. I assume.
Oh, nobody likes it that way. That's a lie.
Al dente potatoes. I don't know. But that pretty much covers the Logan Paul lawsuit. Anyone else have any differing opinions or anything to add before we move on?
Logan Paul sucks.
Yeah, Logan Paul sucks.
That's not. That is something to add. I don't know if it's a differing opinion from last week.
So wait, so Coffee filed a whistleblower report?
Yeah,
The
that was
SEC?
the reason why the SEC started to investigate. And as far as we know, the reason the SEC dropped it, and you can even go to the to Logan Paul's arguments in the Holland case, which is the one that's the lawsuit against him, the class action lawsuit, where he's basically citing the SEC, stuff about meme tokens and meme coins as a reason why that they should dismiss the claims against him for the CryptoZoo stuff, because clearly it was a meme coin. So meme coins are exempt. We make crime legal.
Yeah, but meme coins aren't
but
supposed to
now-
have any utility, right? That's the difference. But he
Whereas
was trying
he
to say they
marketed
did
that it
have
had utility. Yeah.
The
Right.
SEC said that they're not considered securities, at least in their
Right.
eyes.
as long as they don't have any utility, pretty much. Which
In the
he
other,
was marketing it like a
in-
game. He did,
and the other caveat is that they said that you can't rely on your I guess you could call it product and say that it's a meme coin just to avoid federal securities laws. That was the other important caveat they had.
Which makes me confused why then that they decided to drop this investigation against Logan Paul, because it seems like it doesn't qualify for that exemption. I mean, if it's supposed to have utility for this CryptoZoo game, and you're able to trade these uniquely generated crypto critters for value.
No, did he donate to the president?
Maybe, possibly. We'll get to that.
He
Is he friends with Barron?
let Trevor Milton off. So I mean,
Because there's
But
going to
he
be
platformed him though, and that's
some sort
all
of
it
connection.
matters. He platformed him, and he gave him that alternative young male audience that he wanted, and it is a quid pro quo.
didn't the Logan boys didn't they go to the White House? Didn't they?
Yes,
Like, when he was campaigning, weren't they there?
yeah. Well, they were at Mar-a-Lago.
Oh yeah,
I did
Yeah,
not
he actually
realize that.
did.
Thank
That's
you,
right.
Joey, for that bit of information.
Never discount.
yeah,
Is Logan Paul, Theo Vaughn, like the whole bunch?
yeah. He had like a
of-
T-shirt or something made, didn't he?
See, this is why I'm glad to have an entire panel of guests, because
Oh,
they
yeah, that's
cover
where the video
information
came
that
from,
you
from Theo
had
Von
no
Falling.
idea about.
That's right.
I
Yeah,
had
like,
no
it
idea
was-
about any of that.
When he was trying to appeal to the
Interesting.
younger crowd, he brought all of them. Maybe it was Mar-a-Lago. Yeah.
Maybe. So we're going to move on ahead to our main topic for. I'm going to switch this over because we've had a busy week in the world of Wolfspeed. Have you been keeping up with Wolfspeed, Ocelot?
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with the company, but I saw the news of the impending bankruptcy. It seems they haven't actually filed the petition, but there was rumors circulating that they might be filing bankruptcy. So that came to my attention, and I didn't realize
I
that
think-
it kind of
yeah,
had the meme status that it did. I was entirely unaware of the company, but I saw some Reddit posts and some tweets about it, and it reminds me of some other stocks I've seen.
Yeah, the
We've
rumor of
been
bankruptcy came from
joking.
their own filings.
Yeah, we've been joking. Well, we discussed last week that they had been putting going concern, at least in the last earnings report, we know for sure that they had put a going concern notice in. And they've been trying to do an in-court, an out-of-court or in-court an in-court restructuring. And in-court restructuring is PR speak for bankruptcy, in case that
Chapter
was
11
confusing.
bankruptcy, yeah.
Yeah. So we've also been joking that Wolfspeed's been kind of doing this meme stock speed run, the Bed Bath and Beyond speed run. We've got
Would you
the
say that
time
they
to alert
are-
the administration stuff.
Would you say that they're wolf speeding to bankruptcy?
That was kind of the joke I think we
But
used last week too. So yeah, so we got this report from the
they're
Wall
hungry
Street.
like a wolf
Oh,
for
geez.
bankruptcy.
Okay, we
I have a lot of these. I'm sorry.
I bet you'll be using all of them. So we got the news that from the Wall Street Journal that it was supposed to be within weeks. Put a pin in that, a thumbtack, if you will, because there's going to be something that's going to make it clear why it's a few weeks out, as opposed to usually when you get these, like the bankruptcies we followed before, where the news report says they'll be filing in a week. And sure enough, within a week, the filing appears. This one's several weeks out, and it kind of makes you go, wait a second here. Why is that? Because it's usually a little bit more definitive and a little closer to the day.
I know, like, I mean, you're going to talk about the payment, right? I don't know. I couldn't find like how much it was. Do you have how much it was? Or how much it is that they owe? Because I wasn't able to find that.
So we have this screen caps from Tony from it. We don't know what the exact payment is, but we know that they owe a significant amount of money payments over the next 12 months of 575 million and 322 million respectively.
Thanks.
And that they have a liquidity requirement of
How much cash do they have?
750 million. They have 1.3 billion.
They have 1.3 billion in cash?
In cash and cash equivalents.
Whoa. Okay. So I mean they're meeting their liquidity requirement
right now. But that's
if they have to make one of those payments, then they won't be. Is that the case?
Yes, because we're going to get to that. There's one last stop of something I couldn't quite confirm. That's probably too small to see for you guys, and I don't have a way to. Oh, there we go. So this was a purported email that went out from corporate to employees about the possibility of Chapter 11, the in-court transition, and that they are planning it seems like a voluntary bankruptcy. One of the other things that I noticed
how much debt do they have?
Let me look that up real quick. Or do you have it handy, Platinum? Because I know you had the receipts last time. Let me scroll up because I know it's on discussions that we had from last week. I want to say it was like somewhere in the neighborhood of, here we go.
Well, they had more assets and liabilities because I remember celebrating that fact last time.
Right, because they have a shareholder equity around 300 million. So if they did make this payment, they would go from being solvent to insolvent. We do know that much.
Okay, I have the current. Do you want me to share my screen like the current?
Yeah, go right ahead and I'll flip it real quick because I need to switch to something anyway.
And that's the current numbers.
Doesn't feel like it's as dire as some of the other bankruptcies.
No, it definitely isn't. So total long-term debt, it looks like
a dire wolf.
Long-term debt, it looks like is 6 billion.
6.5.
Okay. That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's what they're trying to restructure.
Yeah. So the thing that we got that was really important was in this most recent filing they had. Where is I have to go find it because the page refreshed. But it's on this most recent 8K where, oh, here it is. Share this screen, and then we'll switch from this over to mine, where it says, the company continues to engage in ongoing constructive discussions with financial stakeholders around comprehensive solutions to support the company's long-term growth plan. In connection with its discussion with certain lenders, as the company works to shape its next steps, it intends to elect to enter a 30-day grace period for its interest payments due June 2nd. So that's why they're saying it's 3 weeks out or within weeks, because they're going to take this 30-day grace period, and after that grace period, they're going to owe back due interest payments plus current interest payments, and it's kind of game over at that point.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, unless they can work out a new deal.
Right, before they have to file.
Right. So that's why the news article's like within weeks, because they have the grace period. So that was the big key to the puzzle that we were missing in all this. Like, why was it weeks? What's going on here? Why are they, why are we tiptoeing around all of this? And it's, they got that. But it's,
well, yeah,
it's
I mean, I figured they wouldn't
ultimately be up to the bondholders, right? Like, do the bondholders want to own it, or do they want to?
Yeah, it seems like no. Or else they would have already done and figured it out.
Well, yeah, they would have probably already gone to a prepackaged bankruptcy, you would think, or something like that, where they come in with a prepackaged refinancing plan. And that seems to make sense because they've been trying to sell one of their old, fab plants. And like we discussed last week, Platinum, they've been trying to sell that for since last August?
Since last summer, yeah.
Yeah, so here we are coming up on summer again. It's almost been a whole year, and some of this stuff just isn't selling. I mean, maybe they still would be able to sell this as a going concern, but I mean, I bet if we looked at those financials, Platinum, you'd find that the company is not operationally profitable.
What about the Knowles?
Yeah, I heard about that in the Discord.
Yeah, Knowles though, Knowles. Do they have?
I was just joking, but
they got Knowles.
They got the Knowles.
They are.
We do know that everyone's favorite private equity company is involved in Wolfspeed.
There you go.
Anyone want to take a guess?
Is it Apollo?
Look at the net.
Yeah, it is Apollo. Yeah, operating income.
Oh, they're taking a break from not acquiring Vert.
Yeah,
a tiny break.
Tiny break. So they lose almost 200, anywhere from 200 to 300 million. This is really bad.
It's really bad.
Really it's bad. Not great. Not great.
Not great. Money management.
Scroll up there. What part of that is COGS and what part of that is SG&A? Oh wow, COGS is absolutely where they're getting fleeced. When you get revenue in and COGS is
SG&A is only 41. Is this in millions? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's something there wrong with how much it's costing them to make compared to revenue. Yikes.
Yeah, yikes is right.
They're making semiconductors, right?
Yeah, silicon carbonate semiconductors. So it's supposed to be for more industrial uses, like in vehicles or space and aeronautics and stuff like that. But it looks like danger, Will Robinson is what we're dealing with here. I think at this point it's a good time to switch to our meme stock stuff.
Anyways.
Well, that did work out for you. You want to talk about the wonderful discussion we had live as you were trying to sell these, as it got halted 4 different times on Wednesday when the news came out, or the day after?
So on last Saturday when we talked about it, I set a calendar alert to remind myself to buy puts on Monday.
Yeah, and Monday we were talking about. I'm like, I still think it's a little too early. They've got a lot of
I forgot about
it. Still burn through.
I really would have
And you were like,
appreciated. I
already
really would have
bought 'em.
appreciated like a tag or something in that, and been like, Amy, maybe you should do this.
Well, I thought you were paying attention.
No,
and
we were
Thanks,
talking
friends,
about
thanks.
Logan Paul.
I mean, I
talking about Logan Paul
screenshotted
now,
my
we're not.
reminder and I was like, oops, I forgot that I even put this in there. And it was literally puts on Wolf.
Yeah, I did say that.
And it worked out.
then-
I was saying that,
But I didn't even see it when you
Clorox was
posted
like-
it. Like you said, I posted the reminder and I scrolled up and I was like, shit, she posted it.
Yeah,
I did.
and I should have bought him because
It's
And he
true.
told me not
It's
to.
true.
Clorox
well,
said,
because
don't
I
do
was
it. He
sitting
was
there.
like,
Well,
they
I
look
was sitting there. They were
I was
looking.
like,
They were
too
looking
late.
kind of pricey.
I already
Like,
did.
I was because I was looking at my normal win bankruptcy puts. I go to the $1 strike and I look at the price, and they were going for 50p. And I was like, seems a bit pricey for where it's trading at. And then all of a sudden, the floor dropped out on what was it, Thursday? I'm like, well, ain't I a dumbass?
50. They were going for 50 cents.
50 cents
For the $1. I thought
for a $1 strike on Monday.
Yeah,
I had.
on Monday.
On Monday, I
now
showed
they're
you
about like
what
a
I
buck.
bought. I got.
I know, but I thought you were paid like way less than that.
I thought it was.
And were you a
27
higher
for
strike or
$2.50.
were you $1?
Yeah, it was $2.50, and it was. I thought they were 27, and then I got one for $3.
That's what I thought too. It was less than 50 cents. I know that.
And then the ones for 27, I ended up selling each one of those for 170 for 3 of them, and then 160
Well,
for
that
one
may have
of
been
them.
just the ask, and I probably could have gotten them for under 50, but that's what it was showing, and that's why I was sitting there going, "That seems a bit much."
Yeah, that made it.
Yeah, no.
That may have just been the ask, but yeah.
Yeah, I just spent like a couple $100 and then made a bunch of money.
Yeah.
So I was like,
I should have bought them on Monday too, because the $1 strike would have paid because it dove under $1.
It did.
I know. I didn't think it was going to go down so quickly.
Now, right? Like, didn't it? It went back up. Like,
it went up to about $1. I want to say it's at $1.20 something right now.
I thought it was at like $1.40 last time I looked at it, but
may have been. But yeah,
they got. But that's what always happens, right? Like, as soon as someone says BK, they're like, let's buy it all.
Yeah, $1.45.
Right. Yeah, that's why I was trying to get out too, because it's like you never know what's going to happen. That's why I'm like, I need to get out of this now.
I know when you said that, and I looked at it, I was like, Jesus Christ, sell them it open, like, because these people are going to be like crazy and be like, I'm going to buy it out because they're all stuck up there at what, $4 or $5. So they're going to be like, I'm just going to buy more.
Bargain.
Average down.
Sale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Buy the fucking
bankruptcy protection.
Right.
It's bullish.
Oh yeah, and then it's just going to be like, months of, I don't know what the difference between
like
chapter
we
7
said,
and chapter 11 are.
They're kind of speed running the Bed Bath and Beyond storyline. I don't know if you've been keeping track of them on Reddit and Discord, but
no, you like to venture in there. I do not.
Speaking of Bed Bath and Beyond, we do have some interesting news out of there.
Oh my, I saw that.
Mr. Curzon is back.
Oh my goodness, you're jumping.
Oh my god, I was giving Ocelot the lowdown on the Curzon.
I'm sure we'll see him on Wolfspeed eventually.
Oh, for sure. If he doesn't know,
if it's a baggy stock, he'll be there. He's like the superhero.
It's just it's so ridiculous because he just from my understanding, he's an attorney and is quite clear of it. At least from
he's a licensed attorney.
From the MJ, what is it?
How many? What number is this?
MLJ or MJL?
MJL.
The MJL
4128.
The MJL.
No. How many of these suits has he tried? A lot.
Well, this is, as far as I know, the second one because he was in the express bankruptcy. If you want to go to my YouTube channel, Sonny Korax, and you go in there, I have re-put up the super cut of him literally objecting to everything,
including the schedule.
Including the schedule. I'll give you the brief. We'll switch real quick here. So
he's a harbinger of failure.
This is beyond hilarious. So we're gonna let this play for a little bit.
See, like all these old videos, have you put them all up yet?
I haven't gotten them all up, but I'm slowly been putting it up.
This one is a good one.
Like I said, I'll be off Monday, so.
Good afternoon. Please be seated. Coffeezilla, how are you?
I'm very well, Your Honor. How are you today?
I'm doing okay, thank you.
Great. For the record, Your Honor, Dominic Coffeezilla, Claire Harrison, Harvey Bransford, along with my partner Michael Yerkowitz, as proposed co-counsel to the debtors, We also have our co-counsel from Kirkland and Ellis, Charlie Sterrett, and Emily Geyer, who's on Zoom today. Your Honor, I think what we'd like to do is just give you a brief update of
Mr.
where we are.
Curzon's the picture to the left.
And then perhaps take the agenda a little bit out of order, take sort of the heavy lifting items, the DIP and the bid procedures, and then move on to the other matters, if that's okay with Your Honor.
That would be fine, thank you.
Your Honor, I would like to object to that proposal. This is Jeffrey Curzon. I'm a shareholder, the third largest shareholder of this debtor.
Okay, well, they're just presenting a status update, so I'd like to hear that.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay, well, understood if that's your decision. However, my objection is based on he who controls the agenda controls the outcome, and they've switched the agenda last minute here. So I hope that you'll take any status update.
Which, for the record, is kind of normal. They will give an order and like of how they're going to go down the list of items for the hearing, and they will sometimes change them during the hearing. In fact, when we were watching the Pulte defamation case, they did that regularly. This isn't an unheard of thing, and he's supposed to be a lawyer who knows this stuff.
From them with a grain of salt. Thank you.
Let's continue.
Okay.
With respect to Mr. Curzon's objection as to, I believe the objection was related to whether or not this DIP actually constituted new money. And I will say that the structure.
Can I just interrupt 1 second, and I apologize. Yeah. I've not seen an objection on file. Where can you point me to a filed objection? I've read one objection that was filed by the committee. I've read the replies, and I apologize. I have not seen any other objections.
Your Honor, I can answer that. Docket 181, I objected to everything. And if I'm given the opportunity to speak today, I would like to explain why I am objecting to everything, including this DIP order, including the schedule for the proposed sale of assets. Everything about this proceeding smells all the way from Delaware up to here to the mountains in New Hampshire.
He likes using that line. Let me see here. There's one other thing here. What's this? Oh, there we go. This one will be good, and then we'll move on.
For one, discuss the interim order that's currently in place concerning the stock. And agenda item number 2 had a request by the debtor for waiving the requirement to file a list of equity security holders.
Yes.
And these two agenda items, number 1 and 2, as well as the last one, the status conference concerning the shareholders committee, are all directly related to the sale of the company's assets, because you can't unbake the cake. So if the company's assets are all sold, then the shareholders are left with a shell of a corporation filled with all sorts of litigation against everybody. And that, to me, is not fair or transparent.
Yeah, well, that's kind of how bankruptcy works.
A bankruptcy proceeding, in my limited understanding. Thank you.
Okay, so just so I understand, we haven't set a time, just to be clear, so we're all on the same page. We're just talking about when we're going to have a hearing on when I would set the sale. So the proposal is that we adjourn that question until next Thursday, the 6th. So I understand your position, but it seems like all rights would be reserved to address these matters on the 6th.
Well, I believe that's not timely, because we have something very urgent that needs to be addressed now, which is that the debtors and the debtors council did not bring to the court's attention that this company, allegedly, according to their last filed 10K, has $350 million of state as opposed to federal tax attributes. Now, when docket 8 was entered and the motion was argued on the first day by Kirkland and Ellis and Claire Harrison.
All right, I think we've got enough of him for now.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like the same.
Well, and he also is doing the same. Like, once I get the express bankruptcy stuff,
arguing about like numbers that don't matter,
because I do have all of those hearings up that matter. He did also move for trying to get a shareholders committee, and it was a shock and surprise denied.
Yeah, denied.
And this one will be denied too. He has no standing.
Well, he has no standing because there's no shareholders anymore.
If you look at the what is it again, the MJL or MLJ? If you look at his motion for sanctions by the plan administrator, they explicitly state that the shareholders are no longer parties of interest. because their shares have been canceled, extinguished, and whatever else
Didn't he ask?
without future
Didn't he ask?
consideration.
Didn't you ask for those sanctions to be vacated on MJL in his filing?
Yeah.
He did.
That's nice.
Yep. In August of last year.
I'm gonna guess that didn't happen.
I'm guessing he may have been helping MJL
Right.
with some of that, yeah? Maybe a little
Well,
bit
like
responsible.
helping as in like moral support rather than legal support.
Well, that's the problem that has always been for like him is like like when Pulte and all these people have been like, you need to sue, and someone goes out and does it, and it turns into just limp dick syndrome.
Well, they just immediately hate them. What was that guy's name? Platinum. Sunny. We were talking about this.
Neely
the other week.
Doss.
What was-
Yeah,
Neely
Neely
Doss.
Yeah.
We couldn't think of it.
Pour one out for Neely Doss.
That's another one that I need to get up. That hearing needs to go back.
Oh my
up,
god,
just to
that
remind
was
people.
so annoying to listen to. That was actually
Who was
tough
annoying?
listen.
Neely Doss was not
Yeah.
annoying.
It was
Because he
like
and
it's not his
stuttered the
fault,
whole way through.
but there was
Yeah.
a lot of ums. It was just tough. Like you just need to. I mean, obviously, talking in front of people is not easy, right? And like he was
Especially
obviously
if it's something
probably
you don't do
nervous,
on a normal basis.
right? Or in a court or whatever else. That's why you just write it down first, so that way you can just read, from whatever it is that you wrote down. And that way,
Yeah, I mean that's what lawyers do most of the time.
Yeah. And he was just trying to go off the cuff, so it was just not easy.
Ooh,
for him to do that.
Yeah. Speaking, one last thing on the Bed Bath & Beyond. More revolts against PP the Seeds from the Bed Bath base.
Yeah, so I don't know what even sparked this off. Like, what did he do?
I don't know. It just rando appeared.
It's just the same shit that he like tweets out all the time, right? Like, we're gonna be so rich, and you're all, whatever his like bullshit is that he tweets out.
But if they don't like that, then what is there to like about him? That's all he does.
I don't know that anybody likes him anymore.
After he tried to rug pull them on his fucking meme coin.
He didn't try to. He did.
Yeah, he did.
So I know that Amy might be able to and Platinum and you and Ocelot would be able to handle this discussion a bit better than I would. But we had the most recent. We had an entire wasn't a talk that was done by prepared remarks by the current chairman, Mr. Atkins. And he announced that he's getting rid of the consolidated audit trail. So,
of course they did.
As we've discussed, this is another one of those Ocelots ate my face moment. You voted in this. I don't know if you realized you voted in this. You should have. They pretty much said it. And then you get all surprised that they get rid of.
Well, they're anti-regulation.
Well, the things with the meme stocks is they don't really understand what they're voting for. The meme stock people seem to think that the Republican Party and people like Atkins are a lot more anti-establishment than they are.
That's their anti-regulation.
Yeah, I mean they're anti-regulation for sure. But that doesn't exactly correlate with, hey, we're going to make all these meme stocks whole. Atkins and the likes are going to come in and gut what they perceive to be unnecessary regulation. That's going to be their goal. But the meme stock people seem to think they're going to come in and save their meme stocks, which couldn't be further from the truth. If you look at people like Atkins' resume, they're more aligned to Wall Street than anybody. Which, I mean, it takes like 5 seconds of looking at this guy and you realize he's a Wall Street guy. I mean, like his whole career, I mean, he was a career lawyer at one of the top law firms in the world. And then he worked as commissioner from, I don't know, at least during the 2008 financial crisis. It doesn't really take a lot of brain power to understand what this guy's all about, but they seem to just completely
misinterpret about the
it.
naked shorts.
Yeah, back in 2008 when it was actually a thing.
Yeah.
Well, then he worked for Virtue, and
yeah, he had a fucking financial I don't know what you'd call it, services or consulting company, where he
Wait,
worked for
I didn't
major.
realize he worked for Virtu.
Yeah, he
Because I
did.
had been joking that they should, just to fuck with the baggies, make
he was-
Doug Seafood the chair of the SEC.
He was
Little did I know.
He was an
He was the
expert
SEC.
consultant for Virtu,
Yeah.
or was going to be until he got nominated as chair.
He was SEC.
Yeah, he was a real expert witness.
Yeah, in the case
with a real resume.
Yeah, the case that with for the password stuff, he was Doug's SEC expert.
For the case against the SEC, literally, he was going to be their expert witness.
Obviously, since he was commissioner, he's got a ton of experience. So he launched this consulting firm. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but he consulted. It was a large range of topics, but he consulted largely large financial companies and S&P 500 companies in litigation and expert witness testimony in regulatory matters. So it couldn't be more predictable what this guy's all about, which I don't mean it's a dig against him. I agree with him on a lot of stuff, but it was all very predictable. But the meme stock people just completely misinterpreted it all. I don't understand how they missed it all, but it's all right there.
Wishful
That's
thinking
because every election season I play it. Democracy is a government of the people, by the people, for the people, but the people are retarded. And it's
they
every
didn't
single
misinterpret
election
anything. The only thing they knew about him was the shit that Curtis was telling them about the part of Project 2025 that mentions him, that they questioned him on in his confirmation hearing. And they were like, "You were a big contributor to 2025," and he was like, "I took a phone call." So I don't know, I don't know if that, but that's really all, at least for MMTLP, that's all they really knew about him was what Curtis told them about his Project 2020, which Trump completely denounced. But yeah, that was the extent of their knowledge on him, and that's. Well,
I think at this point,
every day we see a little bit more why they lost all their money.
Yeah, I also think that we should also take maybe, and again, I think I'm going to have to rely on you guys more because I'm kind of indifferent to the whole CAT system as to if its efficacy or whatever, but maybe we could have a small discussion about that. I will say I don't care for this community note that was put here where the entire argument is that the CAT has been instrumental in uncovering market abuse, and then their link is this link saying that FINRA fined people for not doing CAT reporting, which is not proof that it found any market abuse or regulatory violations. It's like circular logic. They failed to meet the requirements for CAT reporting. That doesn't prove anything other than that. So could you get us a better citation there if you're going to make that argument?
Some people are just bad.
And that's my big problem with it is it's so new, you can't really prove the efficacy of it yet one way or the other.
Well, and I don't even think it's fully functional, right? Aren't they still weren't they still in didn't the institutions
no, I think
or whatever win?
I mean, the
full on
2016.
Well, I know, but I thought there was some hang-ups in court about some of the stuff.
I thought it was fully functional, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was fully functional, and then recently they were trying to take some stuff out of it, like the.
I know that firms have been CAT compliant for years now, but I thought that it was fully functional. Again, I could be wrong.
All right. So we've got a couple more SEC things. Some of them more related to meme stocks than others. The most recent one was the one that got the baggies in the extra stir, where the whole article, SEC FINRA partnership necessary to keep a pulse on the market.
Wait, do you want to hear a little bit of insider, industry, someone talking about CAT, or what they messaged about it?
Sure.
So they just said it's an immature headache of a system. You won't find anyone who's had to work with it who supports it. No, not because it's some magical crime finder, because it was rushed out and sucks ass. It's something like from 1995. There was some more in here.
So a lot of it is maybe not necessarily that
think
it
it's
is
like-
a bad or good regulation, that it's poorly implemented and
It's
not very
clunky. It's
effective.
not easy to
And
use.
I think that's a consistent theme with government implemented
Yeah.
programs and services. I mean, unfortunately, oftentimes they're just inefficient, even if they're for a desirable goal, which I think this is a desirable goal to identify market manipulation, but
Mhm.
unfortunately, it's probably very costly to implement, overly costly, and those costs get pushed onto member brokers and ultimately the customer, which kind of sucks.
Well, that's it. I mean, like if you want it so bad, then start paying for your trades.
But back to where we were again. The SEC FINRA partnership necessary to keep the pulse on the market, and it's everyone's favorite member of the SEC. It's Hester Pierce, right?
Purse.
I got
Purse.
I got yelled at because I was like, it's Pierce. No.
We had a whole space about that.
Yeah, we did. we
We looked at
were like
I
pulling up
could've sworn
YouTube
I've been
videos.
told
Of,
this
looked at
before.
videos of like how people saying it. We're like, oh wait, look this one. They're gonna say it.
and then I think
Y'all
we
were
finally
bashing me.
her. No,
I was
not
saying
me. I knew
Pierce.
it was Purse.
So the real big
I was
thing
just
about
pushing
this
back.
is that there was some supposed legislation being proposed in Congress about getting rid of FINRA that had everyone in a stir, and now we've got the SEC coming back out and being like, actually, you probably shouldn't do that
Yeah, probably not.
because it puts more regulatory pressure on the SEC that doesn't have the time or resources for it. And
Yeah.
clearly, with Doge rolling through the SEC, probably less rather than more.
Well, yeah, already less. So yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, this article is completely expected, in my opinion, as far as looking at it from the SEC's perspective. Wait, you mean we get to offload regulatory responsibility and we can still slap them if they're doing things wrong, but we put all the resource paying and stuff on the brokers, and we can still come in and rifle through their shit if we think they're fucking around, and then we can take them to court. Win. In fact, double win.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that's going to change anytime soon, no matter what person in Congress is trying to hurry through stuff to get rid of FINRA. I don't see it as a...
They're not going to get rid of FINRA.
I think that
Do you think the SEC wants to take on all that shit that they threw off to FINRA? They don't.
the meme people kind of expected FINRA because it was part of that project. What is it? Project
2025. Yeah.
2025 abolish FINRA, and the
Mm-hmm.
SROs were of scrutiny in that. From my understanding, I haven't read it myself, but I think that a lot of the meme people expected FINRA just to get completely abolished and all these SROs, which I don't think was ever the case. I think
It's
they
the government. Like, why would they
mean-
think that anything is going to happen? Like,
I think it's to be expected that maybe under the Republican Party in the administration that these SROs would face more scrutiny. I think that that's reasonable, but I don't think that they were ever going to be abolished completely. I think there's a fair argument that maybe there's some issues with SROs and their power.
their issue is their absolute immunity. That's what they take issue with.
And I'm willing to entertain the idea that these SROs wield a large amount of power, but I really don't buy the complete full-blown meme stock argument that they need to be completely abolished. Maybe there's an argument there that they have too much power in certain areas. Sure, I'll entertain that, and I think there's a fair argument there. But the meme stock people just go way overboard.
Well, and also a lot of this hype that they've been riding has come off of the overturn of Chevron doctrine and their complete absolute misinterpretation of what that means. Like,
yeah, that doesn't have
FINRA's
anything to do
powers
with
are
meme
delegated.
nonsense.
in the legislation, the SEC can create SROs. It's already there. So there is no Chevron rugging to pull all of that back. I'm just sorry that legislation, Congress delegated that power away. And you may not like that they gave that power away, but they did. And the SROs are legally established under the legislation that was signed into law.
Yeah,
so
all Chevron was that they would defer to the experts rather than to the courts themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I think that what's
it's
more,
not like they have no accountability, right? Like they have the SEC oversight, and then Congress is over that. So I mean, like it's not like they're. I mean, they have absolute immunity, like maybe in the courts, but not like they still answer to someone.
I think that what's more relevant here and what the meme stock people might be referring to, whether they're aware of it or not, is the non-delegation clause, which says that essentially that if a federal agency is going to delegate some type of administrative responsibility, they have to oversee it. To which is the case with the SEC and FINRA. Obviously, the SEC oversees FINRA and they review their actions, which is what I think that the meme stock people are implicitly referring to when they get all frustrated with everything about FINRA. And I think that will be attacked under this current
crime out here, and the SEC isn't investigating it. When the SEC is like, we are investigating, just not the people you want investigated because they're not the ones doing the crime. Funny enough, it's the insiders.
Always.
You're seeing with MMTLP.
I think maybe that's a good segue into GTII.
Oh my!
Yeah,
that
we
is
can skip
fascinating.
ahead to that. Look, I'm not. I was originally.
I know.
We're just going to keep it as a panel discussion screen
right
on
into
this.
that. Yeah.
We'll just keep it as a panel discussion screen on this. I really tried my hardest to chop up that video, but even when I did, it was like 30 minutes worth of the names going. It's like I can't do that. So we'll just
one by one.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah. So we'll just go through
like some of the things he was like, because he like that receiver didn't just find out names. He like found out who they were. Like what I feel confident it was like
how about this?
Like an Uber driver
before we get
and someone
totally
else
into that. Ocelot, there was a filing before this one that you had brought up that was filed as an 8K, correct, for GTII.
Correct.
That was. Could you maybe give us a prep in on that and let us know what that was about?
Yes.
Some context coming into that.
So I guess like it's kind of important, and I know Platinum's followed it as well, to kind of have some full context here. GTII, it was largely a shell company that traded and had some hype in 2022 and 2023, I believe, in the naked short realm.
Give you three guesses who that was, and the first two don't count.
Is it some type of meat product?
It is. It is a meat product.
Salty.
It comes from
green
a pig.
eggs and.
but it had
Canadian bacon.
It had some hype, and again, it was largely a shell company with no real operating business. But it caught the attention of the people fighting the naked short war. But eventually, I believe it was in 2024, they fell out of compliance with their SEC reporting. So a large group of vocal shareholders petitioned a Nevada court, which is where GTII was incorporated, to appoint a receiver, obviously to preserve the assets, and because the company had completely defaulted on their obligations.
Is it a third party or is it a shareholder?
It was a shareholder. It was a collection of shareholders, I believe.
No. The receiver were they a shareholder?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. The receiver that ultimately got appointed is a third party. His name is Paul Strickland, I believe. And he's done a phenomenal job, I believe.
Given this report we're about to go over, I'd say the fuck so.
I mean, he's great.
It's detailed for sure.
He's got experience, from my understanding, I guess investigating and reviving defunct microcap companies. That's his expertise, and I mean he's done a great job. So he's released to bring us to this relevant topic. He's released these 4 receiver reports that go in depth on the nature of what happened here in the GTII fiasco, and lay it all out. And they've gotten more and more in depth in what happened, and it's becoming increasingly apparent that the issuer and the CEO, David
For our
Reichman,
MMTLP people, what is the issuer again?
Oh God.
the issuer, contrary, nope, stop, that's FUD. Drunk Savvy says that the issuer could be a market maker,
No, they
but
cannot.
I would dispute that and say that the issuer, more often than not, or almost all the time, is the company
Look,
themselves.
you have to to be an issuer,
You
and have
issue the
access
shares.
to have the shares. Like a market maker doesn't have access to issue shares for anybody.
I mean,
So no,
it's
not more
literally
often than not.
it's
Always,
it's
it's the only
secure.
person who can hand out shares is the issuer.
Is securities and corporate law 101 that the issuer is the company issuing securities? I mean, it's
Obviously.
101. There's
It's
no
there in the
dispute.
name, issuer.
I mean, it's in the name, and you have this lady that
Mhm.
seems to think that it could potentially mean a market maker.
No, it cannot.
I'm
Not
sorry, I
ever.
completely derailed us on this, but
Not ever. It's so stupid.
So this issuer was giving out shares to his friends, his family, as payment and for
His
services
DoorDash delivery
owed.
drivers,
Yeah, he
man.
was the one that was the most telling is when the receiver was saying that the issuer was giving shares to people so that they could launder the shares for other purposes to be sold later.
like they're kids. Like they were he was issuing them out, giving them shares to start like trust funds or something for their
Yeah.
children.
Yeah, the receivers reports are pretty in depth, but it seems like there's 2 parties that are really of concern here. You have the CEO, David Reichman, and his, I believe, daughter,
Mhm.
Justine.
Why is it always the daughter? Wait, is this the same one with the Range Rover?
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are the
Okay.
2
Yeah, I can
parties.
share it.
I thought that was a different
They
company. I was
seem
like, why is it always the daughter? Okay, got
they
it.
seem to come up over and
Oh,
over.
so you have the report.
I mean, it's insane.
Awesome.
So this is a report. I mean, where do you want to start?
This is what I was hoping to get of. I was about to set out a bounty for it, but thank you, Platinum, for getting right on top of this.
Yeah. So I mean, this kind of tells you what they've done so far. So this is what they've marshaling of
This is
assets.
the receivers report.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
The Range Rover and Cartier bracelet
soon
are
TM, potentially, probably, because maybe the SEC wasn't aware of this, but now that it's out on the docket and everything, this is one SEC report and a DOJ recommendation away from actual criminal charges. I mean,
and if you follow DOJ, what they tend to go after, they consistently go after insider trading and sale of unregistered securities. Those are 2 things that they consistently go after hard. And
CMKM.
yeah, and this has both of them potentially.
Yeah.
So we'll see. To me, I mean, this
the Range Rover.
textbook sale of unregistered securities, which is a really, really big deal, especially if it's in furtherance of some type of securities fraud like CMKM. So we'll see.
and
But to
correct
me,
me if I'm wrong, the complete total of the shares that were sent out via these illicit means was greater than the actual
more than the outstanding.
More than the outstanding.
Yes.
Well, is it 167 million, 187 million?
Well,
it was one of the 2.
What is the outstanding or?
No. What the gifts that he was giving away? The total of the amount.
See, it says right there, 290. 2 million. What was it? We just scrolled right by it. I could have sworn I saw it.
Well, there's 178 million shares that they're ultimately
Issued. There we go.
seek to recover and claw back.
Okay,
So
178 million. Okay, got it.
I guess seeing the number in cash value, the like 2 whatever.
Well, so far they've discovered
that one. The receiver discovered 2.9 billion
in illicit
2.9 million.
Yes,
sorry.
million in illicit stock sales by .8. That's the daughter's company, like fake company or whatever.
What's it called?
That's Justine .8.
.8.
Yeah. One email given
WY.
to her. Wait, and according to one email, oh yeah, it was established by the former board of directors and then given to the daughter for $1. 3.5 million of illicit stock sales by Mark Richardson for the benefit of this guy. So that's like very similar to CMKM. $2 million of illicit stock sales by Internet Capital, which is such a stupid name, and Warren, whoever, for the benefit of Mr. Markowitz and Mr. Reichman. $5.2 million in illicit stock sales by the daughter, and $230,000 in illicit stock sales by Mr. Reichman directly via undisclosed buying and selling in his personal Schwab account. The present total for the benefit of him is $13.9 million.
Wow.
Yeah, I think you have several problems here.
You think?
Obviously, if you listen to, personally, I haven't read over the document itself, but I listened to the Richard Hoffman who went over all
the
the names.
87 names.
The consistent theme is that there was no consideration for these shares. And that effectively means that there's no service provided. They are essentially, hey, here's all these shares with no service that would benefit GTII or no, I don't know what else.
Just
whatever
play
you want.
you could probably just play like 3 minutes of Hoffman's thing of him reading down the list and just hear like the ridiculousness of it.
Oh yeah.
And that's the problem. And if they're also unregistered, that raises
Where was
some
the
serious
accountants?
questions.
Where was the legal team?
Where was
on
the
this?
transfer
Oh,
agent?
Well, you know
The
who their
accountant was a part
accountant
of
was
it.
at the time. Their accountant was the one that got suspended or barred by the SEC. The BF, what is it?
Was it the
BF
Burgess one?
Borgers? BF Borgers?
Oh, the same one as Nextbridge.
Yes, Nextbridge. Yes.
Let me switch to it. And we
well,
can
I mean,
flip
then
it
you've
up here
got
real
the
quick.
transfer agents, the broker dealers. What's up, baby?
GTI auditor. Yep. And wait, so are they the same ones that were emailing about hiding the Range Rover?
I can't say that definitively, but I would assume that's the case.
Hiding the Range Rover. Yeah.
So
So the lawyer was getting some of the kickbacks, right? They were on the list of the 87, right?
Yeah, it seems so.
Well, yeah.
Their name was on there.
They even had
they
a
were
Fall Guy
signing.
CEO, if I recall, too.
That's what the receiver alleges. He alleges that the CEO appointed after was merely just to take the blame for the eventual fallout of all this. But yeah, it seemed to blow up in his face.
I'd say. So yeah,
I think the question here is how big does it go? I think the best comparison is CMKM Diamonds, which you also see massive sale of unregistered securities, and they were obviously criminally charged for all that. But the conspiracy was wide. You had the transfer agent that was in on it. You had the attorneys that were in on it. And I think that when your attorneys and your transfer agent are in on it, it really furthers the scheme much more so than you would otherwise be able to have. And I think
when
that's
everyone's working together.
Yeah. And the attorneys are the ones that are writing the opinion letters for the 144 safe harbors sales that would allow the effective sales of these securities. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't be able to be sold because they're restricted. But if your transfer agent and your securities attorneys are in on the scheme, that really allows it to go to another level.
I mean, this guy was just handing them out like for tips.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, what is he even giving out? Is he giving out
Well,
like?
then they also use like a dead
I mean,
lady's
literally
name and
tips.
took
He
a
did
credit
it to
card
his
number.
Uber driver.
Right. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, what is he like? Yeah, I'll just like value some shares. Like, how's he even handing them out?
And I think that's another question too. Is are the people that are receiving these shares, are they aware?
Does he just have all of the entire, company treasury in his brokerage account, and he just kind of
Yeah, I
just
don't
doles them
know.
out when he feels like it?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
his
how are
and
you
his
just like,
daughters.
how are you just like handing them out to everybody? Like, I don't know.
Anyway, so
Are you gonna play the video?
Oh no, because
I thought we were gonna
No,
play.
I
30
figure
minutes.
I'll
No
probably
thanks.
do it when we get to the end, because like it's an hour and 30 minutes long, and it
No, I
goes
know.
into everything.
I just wanted like just a clip of it, just to hear like some of the ridiculous people
can-
he was like giving shares to.
Let me see here. I can.
It's
I saw
egregious.
his mechanic,
Yeah,
all sorts of people,
it's
and then
egregious.
there were shares given to what I believe were his uncle. And there's also allegations, I believe, that he opened a credit card in his uncle's name after he died. Like, just some crazy shit. More
Yep.
than I've ever seen since CMKM. So
I mean, CMKM, like nobody, like they issued like almost 700 billion shares, so like nobody's ever
800, I
come
think.
close to them. Yeah, but like, but they were selling those, like they were like
Here we
having
go. This is what I
be,
was.
be
The
pumped, and then they were
fabulous
selling them.
I think
mechanic
that's the
for David
the big
Eichmann,
question here.
David Eichmann.
Were these people selling them? And
Yeah,
what was the scope of it? Because you're
they were
right.
just issuing them
The
to
issue with
themselves and then selling
CMKM
them.
is that
Yeah.
they were getting them and selling them.
Yes.
In furtherance of a criminal conspiracy.
Right. And after having someone, pump the stock, then they would sell into that. And I mean, there's several parts of CMKM, so I don't know where this
What's
goes,
this?
but
What's this thing that you got? Like, is this
Share
like
it
a
for 1 second. This is Exhibit A.
the Venn diagram
oh
where
my
everything went? Oh,
God.
jeez.
Let me see.
Wow.
Does it have the people on there? Oh,
Can you
it
see
does
it?
have the people on there.
No, it's
I did
too
hear him
small
saying
on
like
most of them.
Kathy
I can see David
Griffin.
Reichman for sure.
Right. But then like
Fraudulent entities established to steal Robin Biso estate shares. Like, this person also died and they stole her shares from her.
There's also some really weird names that pop up. Paul
yeah,
Pelosi Jr.
Paul Pelosi
Did you
Jr.
see
and
that?
then I did, and then like I don't think Kathy Griffin is like the Kathy Griffin like comedian
No,
Kathy
it's
Griffin.
not. It's different, Kathy Griffin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did see
and
Paul
I will
Pelosi
say it does
Jr.
look
But
like
that's the actual son of
Yes, it
the Paul
is.
Pelosi. It's not some
It
like
is.
similar
Yeah.
name. It's Paul
Mhm.
Pelosi's son.
It is. Yeah.
so. It does look like a spider web, and I will say that because next month we got the book club going again. So the book, the Spider Network, talking about the rigging of LIBOR and all that stuff. I think on screen share
Amy,
I
you
saw
better
Platinum
make
that
it.
you started.
Yeah, Amy,
reading
you
it.
better make it to that book club meeting after you're making us read this book too. I'm just saying.
I didn't make you read this book.
I think you said you had someone that was
It was your idea.
inside.
I know
on
somebody who can talk about more in depth about
Oh, good.
LIBOR.
Well, in that case, you better be there, and then you can invite them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Like someone who can talk,
coherently,
about more than any of us could, even with reading this book.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'll be easy. I have no idea what I'm listening to.
Someone who actually uses it, or was part of all of that. Not all of it, but
The chart is wild, right? Southern.
The
It
chart
like
is wild.
kind of. It like gives off the vibe of like the Charlie Day, but it's real.
Yes, it does. But yeah, I just wanted you to play like 2 minutes of it. Like let him read like a couple of names and who they were, because like it's.
Where did he get the names? Where even is it?
From the exhibit. It was in there, wasn't it?
It's in there. I think it's in there. They're like everyone is named, all 87 people.
Yeah, because he reads off of it.
I think he was just reading.
It's not
the receiver's report.
Yeah, that's all he really did.
Yeah, it's a motion. I haven't seen it myself, but it was filed in the court.
So it's a motion, but it's
So
because
we'll
it wasn't
see.
on the 8K or the exhibit on the 8K as far as I can see.
No, it's a newer one.
Okay.
These
I think it just
is
came
in
out like
it's in a
yesterday.
state. Yeah, it's in a state court in Nevada.
Oh, I see.
I believe Clark County, if I have that right. So I mean, being a state court, they're much harder to get access to than Pacer with the federal courts. So when I see it, I'll post it. But I haven't seen it yet
Let's
myself.
grab a few.
Yeah, just
The receiver's report, at some point in time, he prepared like 144 opinion letters along with somebody else.
okay.
Shares, that's
No, I
one
think
thing.
that's
it's
a
Very
Rule
problem.
nice.
144.
Again, it pays.
Right? Isn't
Maybe
that what
it
he's talking
doesn't
about?
in
The
the
Rule
end.
144 opinion letter? Not 144
Yeah, the opinion
letter?
letter is 144. So like when you're selling these securities that are restricted, the transfer agent and the broker will request if your securities have a restricted legend, they will request that you submit an opinion letter from a licensed attorney that states that securities sale complies with 144 safe harbor. I mean, that's a very, very, very complex rule, but there's all sorts of criteria that allow a security sale to comply with that. And that's what I think he's referring to.
Because just think about this. If you're one of these named people, you want to contest, what do you do? Well, that was an apt place of stopping. With respect to David Reichman, so what they've done here is they have, and I think his value is not only 16 through 20, they determined that his value, it seems to me what it's saying, his value is something on the order of $3 million during the course of time, and that even including that, and are filled with reasons why Mr. Reichman shouldn't retain those shares. It again, it'll be interesting. And will that itself to the court? No bueno, and let's move on. Either way, if what 655,000 shares.
Okay, here we go.
In my mind, and 44,655,000 shares is the most of any of these categories of the 178 million shares. And that's obviously a substantial amount of money even at 10 cents.
Yeah.
At 10 cents, that's $4.5 million. So it's a substantial amount of money, and depending where that goes or how it's treated, that's a big deal. And again, interesting to see how it's disputed. I would expect, I'd expect there'd be a lot of kind of appears to be some kind of like friend of Reichman organization as some kind of peer. Here he is. He's a friend of Reichman, a member of that committee, and he got 320,000 shares. Without consideration, no evidence of anything having been done.
After
Derek
a while,
Gilbert,
I think he stopped saying without consideration because that's
apparently,
all of them.
Related
Yeah, that's the
to,
consistent theme.
who is the son of former board member Don Gilbert, was given 550,000 shares, apparently in a dubious manner. In other words,
that was the other one, dubious circumstances.
And there's been no evidence apparently why they should be given 550,000 shares. With respect to Donald Gilbert, the father, he's the holder of almost 5.3 million shares. He was a former director and oversaw, this is what the receiver is saying, page 16 of 25, lines 3 through 8. He was the former director of GTII and oversaw and participated in the frauds perpetrated by David Reichman. So why wouldn't somebody like Donald Gilbert want to give back his shares? I don't understand why they would want to contest that. In fact, matter of fact, somebody like that who seemingly has a lot of exposure.
But yeah, it goes on like that for I wasn't 1 hour 30 minutes. It was just 1 hour 10 minutes. I over claimed how long that went, but it's just name after name after name after name after name. We have another meme stock fighting over receivership, but before we can get to that, we need to lay the groundwork. So, as you know, there is a giant community around DRSing Mullen.
Oh, God.
We have a new share count as of the 19th. Wasn't that? Yeah. Oh, no, the 20th. They were up to 44 million shares. What was the count as of last week when we were talking platinum? It was like 25 million.
Wait, what was the count when Travis first had the idea? Wasn't it
15? 10
yeah.
or 15 million.
So they've almost doubled dilution just since the last.
No, they've quadrupled since.
Well, since the last time we talked about it, because it was 25.
Well, doubled since we last talked about it, but since the start of this, quadrupled. But that's not
if
where
everyone
we're at.
only bought one.
But if
and
everyone
DRS
only bought one, by the
then they would,
end of this week,
have 0.
by the end of this week from Stomping Llama, we're at 54 million shares as of last count we know, which was on Friday.
Mullen doing
Yikes. Yikes.
It's the craziest death spiral I've ever seen.
Ever.
And they're just like, they've still got people. Like, that's the thing about Mullen. You have one grifter leading the charge, then they get kind of, washed out or whatever, and then they find a new
lose all their money.
grifter. And then, that person gets washed out, and now they've got Baggy Travis. The Bed Bath & Beyond one, not the AMC one. I know that's confusing.
That is confusing.
And I'm sure after him, it'll go back to fucking Scam Investor pumping it.
Yep.
No,
exactly.
don't call him Bam. He is Scam Investor. He is
Okay.
Tampon Jimmy. Because
I don't know
he's
what tampons
always on
ever
his
did
period.
to you, but okay.
Anyway, so then we get that they're writing off the Mishawaka. Yeah, I was right the first time. Mishawaka assets, because those are getting ready to be sent off to GEM or potentially, we still have they still have their due diligence period, but apparently being sent off to GEM to pay off their, what was it, $30 or $40 million judgment?
Well, 30, yeah.
Yeah, 30 something, I think.
I think it was like 34 or 36 million, something like that.
Well, I think it started off as 24.
Yeah, because they had the
but some interest,
they had
right?
the prejudgment. So like they hadn't given final award of the judgment. So they had like partial award at first, and then they had the final award judgment, which was the total amount. But the original one was like 20 million, like you said, 26 or something like that, or 24. And then they gave them the rest after the final judgment. That's not the entirety of this, though, because, of course, we had Bollinger Motors going into receivership because of a $10 million loan from the original owner that has the namesake on the company. And so they got it put into receivership. And then on today, I found out about this filing that came to us. What was this? This is on the 20th. So the 20th would have been Tuesday. It was filed. And I didn't know about it till today because I was being really bad again about, like, I've got so many lawsuits I'm following that it's just basically almost tedious to keep up with all of them. But Mullen has arrived to file an intervener, basically saying, hey, we were not apprised of this asset that's kind of a subsidiary that we own being put into receivership. So we have scumbag grifter on scumbag grifter violence, apparently, is what it sounds like. So this is Mullen's brief in support of its emergency intervener motion to get a reconsideration hearing on the recent findings of the court as to have a receiver over Bollinger Motors, which is going to be really interesting here. We're going to go over, I'm not going to go over both because they've submitted their intervener motion, and then they kind of go over the same facts in their, motion to reconsider. And this one is actually a legitimate motion to reconsider where there's actual new facts and things that the court needs to consider that it didn't hear before. That's the original, purpose of a motion to reconsider. Ethan, it's not a second bite at the fucking apple with the same facts, you dipshit. You have actual new facts that were not available to be considered the first time around. So Introduction. Proposed intervener, Mullen Automotive, moves to intervene as of right, because no party accurately represented or protected Mullen's majority interest in Bollinger Motors at the May 7th hearing. Mullen has invested nearly $180 million in acquiring majority interest in Bollinger Motors. But the parties failed to mention many key facts about Mullen's ongoing support of Bollinger Motors at the hearing, including that plaintiff has allies at Bollinger Motors have long opposed and stymied Mullen's path forward for Bollinger. Nor did the parties accurately portray Mullen's ability and willingness to continue to fund Bollinger moving forward, including paying off its $10 million loan. I'll leave. I'll let Rubbing My Axe handle that. Getting them banned while I go over this. Mullen has concerns that plaintiff's objectives in this lawsuit is not simply the repayment of his loan, but rather to wrest control of his namesake company from Mullen through the receivership. Plaintiff has worked with various Bollinger Motor employees that loyal to him and what appears to be a plan to call his loan, force Bollinger into receivership, and sell it to one of Mullen's competitors. I don't know why you would want to buy assets from Mullen. We've explained how much of a scammy shitco it is over the years. I'm not.
Well, I got halfway through this
Yes.
filing, and I was like, do you just want it for nostalgia?
I mean,
like, why do you want it?
That's a great question.
Like, why are you fighting over? It's like if you're fighting over the Barbie doll that the hair has already been chopped off of it, the head's already been pulled off, like it's just two kids fighting over like the ugliest fucking toy that you've ever seen in your life. Who wants this?
You know what? At this point, it's grifter wars, and I want them to both lose. Is that a possibility?
I'm just here. To watch,
we're just here. Maybe I need to pop more of that. Do you have some AMC popcorn, Ocelot? Would you like to pop some for this, for personal?
I do. I plan on having some this weekend.
Oh boy.
Well, it's the weekend.
It is. It is Memorial Day weekend.
Poppin'.
So throughout his time as majority shareholder, Mullen invested more than $178 million into the Bollinger money pit. Much of that funding came from an investor who we don't get to know the name of, who was willing to invest into Bollinger, but not directly, only through Mullen. That ain't sus at all or anything, but I guess that's neither here nor there. In October 2024, he was no longer Bollinger's CEO on the board. Plaintiff loaned Bollinger $10 million, and Bollinger agreed to make interest-only payments to plaintiff under the loan. Although Bollinger made every other payment owed under the note, it missed one payment and cured the default by making the payment days later. Within days of the default, plaintiff accelerated all amounts due under the note. In other words, he immediately snap-called the $10 million. Then, just 2 weeks later, plaintiff filed this action, seeking not just repayment of the loan, but also an emergency appointment of a receiver with the authority to sell all or substantially all the assets of Bollinger out from under Mullen. So this is the scheme, as it's being described, at least from Mullen's point of view, that we missed one payment of interest briefly for a few days. We paid it off. And then suddenly they recall the entirety of the loan. And then before we can even talk about getting the $10 million to pay back the loan, they send this to court to try and get a receiver to steal the company away. They point out that the court found very little factual evidence that there was any sort of fraud going on, and that they didn't show it in their brief, and they denied it on the first hearing. So they went back, had a second evidentiary hearing, and then at the end of the hearing, we get this interesting interaction. Again, from a transcript, we don't get to read because this hearing was on May, so it won't be released to the public till June, July, August. So they're quoting from stuff we don't get to see yet. unfortunately. But we do get little snippets here. At the end of the hearing, the court asked Bollinger's attorney point blank, do you think it might be in the best interest of Bollinger Motors to go into receivership so that could possibly gain funding through a sale as a going concern as described? Instead of saying no and explaining why receivership was not warranted, as Mullen certainly would have wanted him to do, Bollinger's attorney responded, I think that's a great question. It's a tough question for me to answer. He went on to explain that as a lawyer, he has to be very careful because he did not have the discretion from Bollinger's chairman to stipulate that, and he does not think that it's in the best interest of the company. The chairman obviously was appointed by Mullen because, as we know from the previous filing, there's 5 board member seats. Mullen holds 3 of them. So the lawyer who is, I guess, working with Mr. Bollinger is having to play this mealy mouth game of, well, I mean, it makes sense, but I don't exactly have the approval of the company to be able to say yes. So, I mean, it sounds kind of like a thing that you could do. And ended the non-committal answer that only time will tell whether a receiver would be a good option because there's no crystal ball on what a receiver will be able to do, and there's no crystal ball on Mullen's ability to fund. The proposed receiver also testified that if appointed, he intended to sell Bollinger as a going concern. He explained that he talked to plaintiff before the hearing about plaintiff's commitment to provide funding to try and keep the company afloat to sell it as a going concern. He specifically noted in his discussion with plaintiff offered to take care of paying the employees that have been working at the company for a significant period of time. According to the proposed receiver, this offer from plaintiff was critical to any ongoing sale to preserve the workforce. So, yeah, that's basically the long and short of the situation. We also get if you want to pull this up, it is on Court Listener. We have a declaration by David Mishry. Despite permitting, so basically, Mullen's been locked out of the site. So plaintiff can go on to the site because they, were part of appointing the receiver, but the receiver has completely locked Mullen Automotive and anyone working for Mullen Automotive from going anywhere near the Bollinger Motors facilities. So, yeah, that pretty much wraps up the update with Mullen Automotive. We got an example of a good receivership and an example of a possibly in bad faith receivership. So, interesting. We're getting to learn about all sorts of different silly shenanigans that's going on in the meme stock world. From here, we kind of delineate into some of the smaller stuff as far as meme stocks. I'm kind of hoping again for some help from you guys on this one because I'm not familiar with this company. Does anyone know what's going on with this GUBX, GBUX or whatever?
Oh, the G-Bucks?
Yes. Can someone help me out here? Why is this?
I
heard on Tony De Niro's stream about it for the first time, and then I saw it all over X, and I'm like, what is this?
I only know a little bit.
It is. It's a ham company. But by the way, just real quick, breaking news.
Mm-hmm.
Christian Shaughnessy just spoke with Ham Naked Shorts. Meeting went well. He's going dark. That's all for now.
Oh, the famous going dark. Oh my goodness.
Someone said meeting about what? And she said the state of our financial markets.
Did he get an SEC subpoena?
Probably. Let's hope.
I don't know.
Maybe he's going away for a very long time.
Well, a lot of other, we have some others going dark, like Busy, and I don't know who else.
Yeah, is it possibly because Busy is being looked at by the SEC in that second complaint? Things that make you go
Well, I hope he's looked at.
I hope everybody's being looked at. There's a lot of shady stuff going on with the MMTLP leading up to the halt.
Yeah, I don't know much about this company, but I do know it was a ham
Yeah,
special.
it's
So
a ham. I mean, if you look at the company, it's the typical.
Yeah, let's look. Let's look at their.
I mean, just look at the balance sheet.
Here we go, balance sheet.
Yeah, I mean, it's typical ham play.
Bigger, unfortunately.
Yeah, I can't see that.
The other thing with the G-Bucks is, I believe that there's allegedly some type of special, I don't know if it's a warrant or dividend play that is supposedly coming up in the next
what
week.
I heard from Tony was that it's a dividend that is not really a dividend because it's an option. It's a warrant where basically you're buying warrants. Where I mean, you're being dividend warrants that you then get to exercise. And in order to exercise a warrant, as you know, you have to buy shares from the company at a markdown price. So it's dilution. Like they're selling it as a dividend, but these dummies are too dumb to realize it's dilution. It's dilution. I want to make that clear in case that was lost on anybody.
Yeah, but that's the stock that I think that there's like 3 or 4 of them. There's the Finger Motion, the GTII, the G-Bucks. They're all really the same thing.
So they've got, what is that? Like, I can't tell if that's supposed to be 17 billion. I highly doubt it.
No, definitely. It's probably in dollars.
No,
it's probably 17,000.
17,000.
Okay.
Oh my God.
What? 17,000 straight? It's not. There's not like this isn't in terms of millions or thousands.
Like
17,000.
No, it's 17,000. Is there cash on hand? That's like. Are we running this out of like some mom and pop place? Is like
definitely being run out of the
want to
basement.
start a company?
G-Bucks has no
like
we could
out
come
of
up with more
someone's
cash on hand
garage that you're running this. Someone help me out here. Accounts payable 175. Accrued liabilities.
Wow, look at those liabilities.
871,000. So they have total assets of literally 19,000 to $3.6 million in liabilities. Holy fuck. No wonder they're offering people like these like warrant things because they need to dilute these fuckers hardcore. There's like this company is so insolvent it ain't even fucking funny. Who would invest in this shit? Holy crap.
Well, Ham the Short Killer has a bit of a cult following of people that follow him into plays.
You mean
hoping
I have a term for those people. I believe the term is lemming.
Yeah, that would be it.
We're also getting into some of the silly stuff. I don't know if you guys remember this from Monday. Yeah, Monday. So it's not an announcement if it shows up, first of all, on your stupid fucking screen blurb. But I'm going to pull up this screenshot. Can anyone in the chat or in our panel identify what might be the reason why Kevin, the dipshit Mullen, can't buy shares in this account?
It's probably a retirement account and it's an OTC.
Bang! The dead giveaway being, for more assistance, please contact the Retirement and Benefits Contact Center. So dipshit tried to buy it in some sort of retirement account that does not allow the purchase of scummy fucking shitcos. So,
they still have $0 of revenue, Quantum.
Yeah. But then again, we shouldn't expect much more from a guy who's literally an advisor to the board of directors and is paid to be a shill. Isn't that funny how that works? All the shills are paid to be shills, and they're all promoting the stock, not, trying to
not showing you the balance sheet, not showing you any financials.
I also saw that he is doing, I don't know if it's conference calls or space calls with Ham the Short Killer.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I saw that I think they were going to do a space call. But I don't think that Ham does space calls. I think he does some weird, like...
No, he does these conference calls like it's
like
the 1950s.
Yeah, like
oh, really?
Yeah. It's not even like
boomer
a
technology inbound.
Yeah.
Okay. Amy, are you there? Because this next one's you. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I'm here.
Over. All right. I think I'm gonna let you take this one away. You want to handle
this girl.
So something about FINRA dark pools, I believe is.
So she just doesn't get that like FINRA. She's trying to say that FINRA is operating in the market, and that these are FINRA owned dark pools. They are regulators of their members
who operate the market.
Who operate in the market. Right, but she's trying to claim, like, I don't know where she even came up with this. I think it has to do with like the OTCBB thing, but like FINRA is not a market participant. FINRA is a regulator, and like that's really it. There's nothing. There's nothing really to discuss. Like, and I on the post I think of mine that you just pulled up there, I put like the breakdown of all of it, like the eligibility to be a member, the requirements for members, and then the definition of the IDQS for members. Mm-hmm. So that's it. That's really all there is to it.
Yeah.
And like she just like every day she's posting about how FINRA is like participating in the markets through these dark pools, and like it's ridiculous. Like in some of these like that she's listing are for just like for like regulatory things. Like it's not even they're not even dark pools. So yeah, that's really it.
Yeah.
Just more like fundamental, like not understanding of the market structure or how markets operate at all.
Yeah. We have some quick updates on our favorite AMC group, the Project Popcorn Baggies. Ethan, at the beginning of the week, once again was claiming that they found a lawyer. They've gone through 100 and still haven't found one to pick up their shitty fucking case yet.
Oh, gee, I wonder who. Is it Wes Wilson?
They did. He hasn't said. He loves talking about these things, like he's meeting with congressmen. That still hasn't materialized. He said that was sometime in May. Well, you got 1 week left, dipshit. So.
Oh my God, it must be. Look, you must have sold AMC shares at some point. Look, so I'll bet you they're going to try to spin it so that they're going to say it was being spoofed and they sold their shares at a price that was lower than what they should have sold it at, and that's how they lost money.
If it's guaranteed. Wes, like this is a new low for him, a new low, because usually he works with the company, but Adam Aaron has been wise enough to be like, I ain't touching.
He's not going to go near that.
No, absolutely not, because that immediately brands AMC as a shitco, and there's no getting that stank off. So
it's one of the key requirements of the case. You must have sold shares at some point between January 1st, 2022 and December 31st, 2024. So
right, because it look how a case works to be able to have standing for cognizable losses is you have to have bought or sold shares. In this case, they're going for the sold shares that you lost value by selling shares. If you just have shares, there is no cognizable loss because you haven't realized any, loss. You're just holding the shares. So in order to have standing for loss from market manipulation, you have to have sold, or the market must have been manipulated in your purchase. So since they're saying that they devalued the share, you had to have sold them at a manipulated value. That's why he's having to say, if you had sold between these periods, because otherwise you have no standing for a case. It's good that he's finally learning basic, securities law. I don't trust him to learn much more than that because he's not really particularly great at that. He has also revamped his YouTube channel, the Ethan Leibovitz channel that constantly sends me fan mail in my comments section, has been revamped as AMC Lawsuit and Justice. I think that's false advertising personally, because and all it is the stuff from the Project Popcorn YouTube page regurgitated back out like, you know, the Daniel Meyer affidavits that he loves jerking off to. So just one last thing. I don't think we'll be dealing very long with Ethan, much longer. He is, Joey, I don't know if you were paying attention. This was something that I had noticed on the website.
Oh no, he's going to jail.
Well, not just that, but you notice something here?
Yeah, he's representing himself.
Like originally I could have sworn that he had a public defender. No, he's pro saying this shit like a dumbass. Also, so he's guaranteed an L here, I'm pretty sure. On top of the fact that, you know, 20 counts, like DAs don't throw around 20 counts of anything like lightheartedly, even if they're misdemeanors. But I'm out here to basically implore people, like, this is golden melty goodness. If you are in the New York area and can appear in Queens Criminal Court on June the 18th at 9 p.m. to give us a blow-by-blow transcript of what happened at 9 a.m., sorry.
Bring your popcorn.
Yeah, please. We would love to have that transcript and a discussion with you about Ethan sob-sitting his way through the criminal justice system. Again.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know how it goes. We would love to talk with you.
I've seen him sob-sit his way through the civil justice system,
no,
the criminal justice system.
You missed that. He
even more fun.
Last time when he was there for the last time he got convicted for aggravated harassment in the second degree, he applied to be pro se, and they took it away from him because he was being too fucking belligerent. So, like I said, trying to sob-sit his way through the criminal justice system again.
That poor public defender that had to
deal with
I
know, right? That had to be a thankless job. Like, that's one of those ones where you go back to the public defender's office and be like, I ain't getting fucking paid enough to deal with this shit. So to wrap us up into our meme stock stuff, we got like 2 or 3 more things to handle really quick. First of all, this was an old article from back in April that I just recently found, that members of Congress are coming to now. For the most part, there's no Republicans. It's just the Democrats that are having a consciousness moment about the idea that the person regulating Fannie and Freddie being the chair of the board of directors for Fannie and Freddie might be a fucking conflict of interest or something. Why? I don't know why anyone would think that. It's a horrible idea. I just common sense. But yeah, apparently they're trotting around unsuccessfully right now because of the current makeup of Congress to be like, hey, you know that guy that was totally incompetent in his confirmation hearing? Yeah, now he's doing some really shady stuff. Maybe we should look into that. I don't expect that to go anywhere unless midterm stuff changes in Congress. Joey, what's your thoughts on that? Any word on the ground of
well, he's confirmed. Once
right.
He's confirmed, he's confirmed. There ain't shit they're gonna
I can still investigate him. They could still impeach him, right?
I mean, they can embarrass him enough that he impeachment means nothing. Like, we're in such a divided political
what I'm saying is if you did if the Congress I don't expect it to happen, but like, we can dream, right? We can dream that Bill Pulte will get his comeuppance for being a piece of shit. Let me dream a little bit.
I'll let you have your dream.
I'll just keep fantasizing about it.
Congress will never do its job. The Senate is too divided. However, anything that they want to try and get passed, as far as I don't think they're going to be able to sell it off or take it private without Congress. So they're not going to get that through Congress.
Yeah.
They don't have the votes in the
has to
Senate.
go through Congress. I think it's just the Treasury.
From what I've heard a lot of people saying
they may not
is
get
that
it
they
past
don't
Besant.
even need that they just say that they can.
Well, Besant has already said, Besant was just on TV and he already said that, like, you know, it'll come after, you know, the trade deals and the this deal and that deal. Like, he's like, everything else that they're doing, he's like, and then we will talk about it.
And Fannie and Freddie stock spiked on that until, you know, we had the 20-year bond auction that came and knocked the shit out of the market.
But that's what basically said. Like it's not their top priority at the moment. He said something like
Yeah,
the
it's not
trade
a
deals, the
priority.
something else, and then tax.
Yeah,
Taxes,
they
of
were
course.
the trade deals and the tax stuff is what they wanted to deal with first, and then they'll get to Fannie
Yep.
and Freddie. And
Yeah.
they're already having stuff on the tax and the new budget and the tariffs, so might be waiting a while. But anywho, that pretty much wraps up the meme stock stuff, which means we can go to more serious things. One thing I wanted to give was a brief update on something that we talked about last summer. And it's coming back on summer again. So, Andrew left. Why not? Basically, we already know that the appeal, which is just really weird. Usually, when you have a criminal and a civil prosecution, they stay the SEC end of it. But the SEC one's going ahead. They've already passed the motion to dismiss. And now, from what it sounds like from the Bloomberg article, is they're basically trying to get the criminal charges dismissed, and they're trying to negotiate with the Justice Department to have those set aside. I get that the SEC charges are kind of on a lower standard, like, the criminal charges are beyond a reasonable doubt, and, the SEC is more along the preponderance of the evidence level. But, they made it past the motion to dismiss. Like, why, as the DOJ, would you even think about, if the SEC leaped over that hurdle, why would you think about, maybe you get a plea deal to get him to just, plea bargain on some of these charges and just get it over with. But, like, why would you even give ground a little bit other than that, when it seems like this is a case that, at least is going to, it's not going to go away for Mr. Left, is the way it sounds like.
It's a strategy.
Or maybe even just to defer on that.
Shouldn't go away.
Basically, the argument seems to be is that, if I say Trump enough, the strategy hinges on convincing the Justice Department that the case against Left isn't in line with President Trump's enforcement priorities. Well, did you violate the law? Because that's the only thing that really should matter.
Stop breaking the law, asshole.
Exactly.
Then again, we are kind of in this, make crime great again era. So maybe that'll work. I don't know. What's your guys' opinion? You think this goes on to trial on the criminal side for Mr. Left?
Who knows, right? Like,
yeah,
you never know.
Where's it going to trial?
California.
California? Maybe. If it was going to trial in DC, not with Jeanine Pirro sitting right there.
Yeah, it's in the Northern District of California, I'm pretty sure.
I think it goes to trial too, but who knows? Maybe he takes a plea deal. We'll see. I'm surprised, though, that the SEC is going on with the case, like you said. Usually they stay the civil side while the criminal side, or criminal component, proceeds. This odd. I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah. You got a take on this, Amy?
I really am not a fan of Andrew Left, and I hope that he gets what he deserves.
Yeah, the allegations in that are pretty damning.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the way that I saw it when those came out. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was kind of
crazy.
I'll just like the fake receipts and
In the bashing stocks, he created a fake website to bash.
Right.
Like, this is every like one of the baggy wet dreams, just like right here in this complaint.
Yeah.
The only thing you're missing is naked shorts
and he was getting compensation from Anson, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
To
right. That's the
write hit pieces.
Like, out of all the stuff, like, he was still finding a locate, apparently.
Well, he was trading mostly on pretty highly liquid, very big companies, from my understanding.
Yeah, it was all big cap, or large cap. It was Tesla. Tesla was one of them, I think. I don't remember the other stocks, but they were all very large companies.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So next up on our list, we got to get through how many tariffs are we having today? So the newest one is that apparently there's going to be no deal with the EU. So if you have any plans on buying French wine, better cancel them now. 50% tariff. I guess only Californian wines for you. Any other goods? No Volkswagens. Well, I mean, most of those are made here in the U.S. Car companies are one of those things where it's like usually even foreign cars, there's some domesticated factory.
I think Volvo was saying something about they would have to charge a bunch more for their cars.
Yeah.
BMW, Volvo, basically the exact people that Trump has catered around as far as his financial policy, which is anywhere from upper middle class to very wealthy people. The products that they use are the only products that are going to see a super, super major increase in prices. A lot of the rest of this stuff, like, it's made in the US, even though it's got a European name.
Yeah.
The next thing we learned is that much like the UK, we have a deal that is air quotes a verbal agreement, but like nothing written in stone yet. That apparently India is going to they're basically going down to the 10% tariff from whatever the 25% tariff was, or the 26 and the reciprocal tariffs. Then apparently we're just tariffing companies straight up. So if I don't like your company, 25% tariff for you. So Apple, I hope you don't like your iPhones or your Air Max or any sort of stuff like that. So that's the most recent tariff related news. We did get an update, I think. Oh shoot, did this end up? Oh no. I don't know. Yeah, that was that. We did, however, at the end of this in an interview, get Trump to admit that sometimes the country eats it, sometimes the company eats it, and sometimes the consumer. So he finally actually rolled out and admitted that what we all fucking know, that at the end of the day we will be paying these, and not anyone else.
It's only going to be the consumer eating it every time. Let's just not pretend like the country is going to do it. Like, that's not going to happen.
Like, sometimes you'll get like responsive, like where like the country like sometimes will subsidize to try and make local goods, but that doesn't change anything for like imports. That's about like stuff that is already homegrown, consumed goods. But like, so I guess that's what he means by like the country will absorb it, but like even that doesn't make any sense. I will, however, point out something. Maybe this should have been in the meme stock one, but I decided to keep it over because of who it was in the main topic stuff. Wonderful Zach Morris and his AI generated album cover with his wholly generic AI generated music. Did any of you listen to any of this?
I did listen to the first one. Yeah,
I did too.
It was just
I listened to like 10 or 15 seconds, and I was like, nope.
It was wholly generic, like clearly was all generated by AI.
I think it was just like techno music. It was boring.
It was. I don't know why that was in there, because this was in the middle of the whole like tariff stuff. Oh yeah, because this one, like, I guess we're gonna skip back around. I don't know how that got in there or what happened there, but I do like this one by Montana's Skeptic, where he said that remember, the U.S. largely abandoned tariffs as a chief tax collection mechanism because of the corruption inherent in tariffs and all the exemptions that were created. And now we're getting even more potentially corrupt because we're going to be just directly tariffing companies, which seems highly suspect. But I think from there, we can move from Trump tariffs to like just straight up Trump corruption. It wasn't that article that I wanted, this one. I don't know. Well, this is kind of finance related because CBS and Paramount are like working on some sort of acquisition deal that requires government oversight. And so there's been a lot of
it's a humongous merger.
Okay, Joey, you seem to be on top of this. I'll let you run with that.
Okay, so gist of it is 2 weeks ago, the person in charge of editing, or I don't know what you call him, the showrunner, the editor-in-chief, because it is a news magazine, technically. Even
60 Minutes. I do remember that part of it. Stepped down because of the...
Resigned.
Yeah.
Because of the pressure that was put on them to change their content. But they kind of issued like a scathing rebuke of the company as a whole at the end of the show. So they fought back. They put it out there on the air.
Oh, merger with Skydance.
2 weeks later,
okay, there it is.
Yeah, 2 weeks later, the president has resigned. So basically, what it all boils down to is Trump is mad because Kamala got a better interview coverage than he did because he didn't show up to the interview at all.
Oh, this one
he
right
had
here?
The option of showing up. Yes. He didn't show up to the interview at all. And she got favorable coverage out of it. And he's saying, that's not fair. You edited it to make her look good.
And
so
isn't there was oh yeah, that lawsuit. Yes, yeah. Yeah, I remember that one.
So CBS and Paramount are in the process of kind of settling up that just to shut him up because they need this merger to happen. And he is openly quid pro quoing this, saying, if you do not give me money, I will block your merger.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Using antitrust laws, which personally, I think they should anyway. I'm not against them blocking the merger.
It's just how grody it looks if they do.
It's just gross. Yeah, no. So now it puts like people like me in a position who want these larger media companies to be broken up or to at least not get even more condensed. And like, okay, but now like I want it to happen, so I'm fine with it happening, but I still feel really gross about it because of the way it's happening.
We got more intimidation of the press like that came after because they continue to push him on this jet from, I keep saying Qatar, but I guess it's Qatar.
Well, according to Trump, you can say it. There's about 15 ways to say it. They're all fine. He said this in front of the head of state of Qatar.
So threatening an NBC presser that if he keeps reporting on the jet that they're going to investigate NBC. We also got a threatened lawsuit against ABC while we're at it. So I guess we're just going to hit up all three of the big major, syndicated network channels from CBS to ABC to NBC. And of course, he's got the jet now. That should be a fun part of this. We've also got the Trump coin whale dinner that finally took place. Last week we talked about Andrew Tate's knockoff version of it that didn't end up happening. We've got some more Andrew Tate stuff when we swing around to that because there's some more news on the Romanian trial that's interesting and has some complications if what's being reported is true. But apparently a member of the New York Times went down there and started trying to ask questions of people arriving at the gate. And some people even turning away from the camera because they didn't want to be identified, even though the person who did the story said that they already had a list of guests and they knew who they were. So for some people, apparently showing up to this was kind of, I guess, supposed to be low key, and they were kind of embarrassed about being there. What is most embarrassing about this entire event was Justin's son getting his taint licked clean by Donald Trump. Who here is familiar with Justin's son? Show of hands. Anyone want to take a crack at that one?
Didn't he have
already up there?
Whatever coin it was, or
the Tron coin or something like that. And he was being investigated for fraud and money laundering and shit like that. But remember, crime is legal. Make crime great again. Justin's son is forgiven so long as he kisses the ring and knows his place. He can do all the crime he wants. Is there anything? Oh, yeah, because that's just a general article about all this. I did find one clip from this one article. I know some people are probably not the biggest fans of Mother Jones, but this, I think, pretty much epitomizes the Trump administration's handling of this. Arthur Schwartz, an advisor to Donald Trump Jr., downplayed the influence in the White House, but declined to respond in greater detail when asked whether his activities created ethical problems. Write your ridiculous story. Literally, no one cares. We don't actually give a fuck. Well, that's been pretty fucking clear. You don't give a fuck. That is the, I'd say the accurate way to describe that. So I guess we lost Ocelot for now. I don't know if he needed to go or whatever the case may be. I know I've got thunderstorms rolling in, so there's been some light flickers. So hopefully everything holds out. So we've got Andrew Tate and maybe a few ancillary things. And then I think that's pretty much all I've got for tonight. So basically the most recent Romanian election, George Simeon ended up winning. Loses. So that's the one the Andrew Tate was for. And then, oh my goodness, Joey, do you know what that, like, the S with the squiggly is supposed to be sounded out?
Holy.
Because that's the incoming president that apparently.
Tsar. Nikusar. It's Nikusar.
Okay. So apparently Tate was going for this guy. In fact, they were caught in conversations with each other prior to the election. So trying to basically hopefully get out of this whole shindig in Romania by getting in good with what he presumed would be the incoming administration. That didn't work out so hot because the other party ended up winning. We do know that the Tate brothers are back in Romania. They're back under judicial administrative for another 60 days, I think, before their next review. And then the news came out that Romania has already made an agreement with the UK that at the end of the Romanian trial, that they will be immediately extradited to the UK for the trials that are going on in the UK. Then we got kind of a mixed signal situation because
I think that's been the plan all along. To be honest. I think the entire thing has been allowing the UK to build a case and waiting for a government that's willing to prosecute.
Well, the problem we're seeing because it's mixed signals, because we've heard that the UK is going to wait for the Romanian case, and then we've also heard this, which seems to be the news story coming out, is that the Romanian government, since it already has an extradition planned with the UK, is going to drop some or all of the Romanian charges, extradite them to the UK, and have the UK handle it, where the Tate brothers can't do all this fucking dicking around like they've been doing in the Romanian court. They're in a UK court, a real boy court, where, no offense to Romania, but the reason why they've been able to dick around is just because of the judicial system there. And so moving them to UK would be beneficial. But here's the problem. We still have the defamation lawsuit in Florida dealing with the Jane Doe, and now he's suing people like Common Sense Skeptic and Nathan Livingston and Murdered by Crowns and Gadget. So, sort of like the situation that we talked about previously with Logan Paul. So they dropped the Romanian charges. It doesn't matter if extensively the same charges end up in the UK and they get shipped over there. They can say, the Romanian charges were dropped. That means they didn't have a case.
Yeah, it's a win. Yeah, they'll treat it as a win.
And they'll try and go back to court with that. That's what I'm worried about. Like, I get intrinsically the strategic value of moving them to the UK where they are no longer allowed to play fuck around games. They immediately get their find out. But I don't know, depending on how fast the UK trial goes, that might cause problems in the civil defamation cases, depending on the way they can, try and play that in the public. That's my concern. I don't know if Amy or Platinum, you had any thoughts on any of that?
I have the Tate suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at.
Did either of y'all finish Clown
Oh
World?
no, I'm actually still listening to that. I'm in the middle of it, I think.
It gets worse.
What
It gets worse.
What was that book again, Joey? Clown World? What's it about?
He goes
It's
undercover.
literally a guy who infiltrated and entertained, not just the real world, met him. It opens up with him getting the shit beat out of him in a boxing ring as a hazing ritual.
Interesting.
It's an actual cult.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So we also get a new defamation lawsuit from Andrew Tate against suing the vice president of the National Center on Sexual Exploitation, because that just, add to the list of things. We also learned that on his knockoff Discord, that site that he works for the real world, that he's basically sending out a bounty for people to send video clips, that he's totally not on roids, bro. Trust us, bro. He's definitely all natural. Trust me, bro. I don't think it takes any particular genius to figure out that that's a bunch of fucking bullshit. See if there's since we got time to kill, I kind of do want to deal with this one, because this was a fun one that I think I talked about with you. We're not going to watch the whole video because it's kind of long, but it goes into finance because it kind of lets me talk about one of my favorite topics, which is electronics and semiconductors and everything like that. But we had seen this, I had seen this video and I shared it with the group about Gamers Nexus going after Nvidia's dirty media tactics, where they're holding hostage interviews with certain people for tech reviewers to basically extract positive reviews out of the reviewing agencies, or else they withhold certain media access and things like that. And some of the other dirty tactics that Nvidia has been using, and that Nvidia has basically been giving the shaft to its gaming operations, because and treating gamers kind of shittily because they make tons more money on the AI and the other bigger industrial applications. They're not a gaming graphics card company anymore, and they don't care about you that much. Trust, which seems to be the continued feeling and vibes out of Nvidia. Question, though, is if the other two competitors in the graphics card market, Nvidia or AMD, can actually capitalize on that, because it seems like Nvidia is kind of doing the Intel thing, where they, legitimately, they are the better graphics card with the CUDA cores and everything. Me and Platinum were generally team green. I'm pretty sure. I don't know about you, Joey or Amy.
I hold a really pretty significant position, so I'm all team Nvidia all the way, but that's more out of self-interest.
Right. Well, stock wise, I wasn't
Well-
talking about stock purchase. I was talking about what's in your PC.
Yeah, that's
Once
what's
they
in my
take green.
PC.
Oh, it's Nvidia. That's what's in mine as well.
Exactly.
But like you're kind of like, this is what ended up getting Intel ganked by AMD, was this assumption that Intel would always be on the top. And the question is, you know, with AMD, can it close the gap? At least maybe not in from like this, you know, in the AI and all the industrial area where Nvidia is kind of dominant, but at least in the gaming sphere by making offerings. And can Intel catch up? It really sucked out of the gate and tripped over its own dick. But it's starting to, at least in the budget cards that it's revealed so far, been highly competitive, especially at a price point. The big problem that's been seen with graphics cards as of late is getting enough supply out into the market where regardless of what card you're buying, MSRP has been kind of a joke, because either scalpers come in or there's no available supply, and MSRP is a lie. It's when you're buying a graphics card, MSRP is always a lie. So I don't know. It'll be kind of interesting to see if we get some more competition in the gaming space, as Nvidia is kind of just more or less assuming that gamers will buy an Nvidia no matter what they do, no matter how small the generation over generation performance of its cards are. So I thought that was
they're
interesting.
still the best ones that you can buy, so it's kind of
If
like,
you can buy them.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
the
I
last
bought mine
thing-
off my kid. Like, he bought a new one and then sold me his old one. So that's how I ended up. And then my son also has he has over 100 shares of Nvidia.
Oh damn!
But his cost basis is $26 because he bought it when it was $260 and he had 10 shares. And then after the split, now he has over 100 shares and it's at $26. So he
Damn.
sells covered calls on his, like he has right now 140.
You know, yeah, sure. Why not? Why not?
Exactly. I'm like, you know, they're just sitting in your account. Like, you might as well just be happy if it goes up or down, right? And sell covered calls. There you go.
Right. Last two quick things. So we finally got a sale.
$17.
Sales. $17 is the worth of. Now that article is a little deceptive when I first read it, because like, wait, why is it this? Like,
Is it 17 per
So is it
customer?
$17
per
a user?
customer? Yes, for their data is what they're basically saying. Let me see if I can get the actual like full article here. I know I had that at one point. I don't know why it was. Here we go. The actual total sale price was
256 million. It said first paragraph.
I scrolled right by it. Oh yeah, sure
Right
enough.
there.
Boom. Which, I mean, we got more than Bed Bath & Beyond got for its IP, but like when you break it down by the per customer basis, yeah, $17 doesn't sound like a lot, but I don't know really what you would do with that archive of data, like other than sell it for information to like police departments, I guess, or something. I don't know.
You sell it to genetic research companies, drug development companies. Like,
it's just I don't have enough
knows? Like,
information there to
it's-
know if they over or underpaid for it, really.
if you're getting someone's personal data on the cheap, you're never underpaying.
That I suppose is fair.
For that. They know exactly who to market to as well, certain products.
And
certain
wasn't the
drugs.
original CEO one of the people that were trying to buy it as a going concern?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what she wanted to avoid.
So, yeah. The last thing we have for tonight is, of course, we finally get a guilty verdict in the SafeMoon CEO, found guilty on all counts. So another crypto bro bites the dust. Always good news, I think, especially if you're like, I think most people have seen the Coffeezilla videos on it and know what a scam that SafeMoon was, where, you know, it kind of marketed itself as like, you can't get rugged. Surprise! It was a rug pull, guys.
Do we think that PPC saw that, or
I
because he did buy Safe
mean,
Moon, and he did
kind of
show
the same
Safe
thing,
Moon.
didn't he? Do yeah.
He said, "Say on January 12th, 2022." He said, "Safe Moon will be $2 by the end of 2023."
Oh yeah, because he was a Safe Moon mark. That is right. I totally forgot about that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's good. That's a good point. That is a very, very good point. I I was wondering where you're going with that, and I had totally forgotten that it was that. All right. Well, I guess it's time for the stupid tweet of the week.
I had one to go along with what I sent to the chat. It was like someone's angry reaction about not getting their Red Bull because they're not a GameStop Pro member. But then I found a better one.
Okay. Have you sent it to me already? Or...
I'm doing that right now.
You have yours, Platinum, or Amy?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip out on this one. Sorry, I'm dealing with some kid stuff here, but I'm gonna skip out on stupid tweet.
I've got one for you, Amy, that I'll do for you in absentia. I'll get the poll set up here. Platinum, do you have it ready for me to share for you to lead off? Or...
Well, didn't you say you had 3?
Yeah, I had a guest one. Let me go ahead.
Can you donate one to me, please?
Yes, I will donate this one to you, and you can talk about it while I get the poll up.
Oof, I can't see.
Why is that so small? Oh, there we go.
Oh boy. Patrick Byrne, here we go. CIA operates through Chevron. In Amsterdam, Chevron and Smartmatics have co-located offices. That is to get Chevron CIA staff into Smartmatic. The 2020 election heist ran on Venezuelan tech, but the strings may have been pulled not from China, but from the 7th floor of the CIA. Holy moly.
Yeah. Alrighty, so we'll switch
to
good
Joey's. To know. Breaking news, I guess.
Nice conspiracy theory, bro. We'll pass on to Joey, who's kind of cheating, in my opinion.
The way that he makes it sound like GME is the glue that holds their marriage together is just creepy as hell.
Yeah, that's kind of been. I don't know. They were separated there for a bit, so I don't know if it's the glue.
The comments were
them together.
Wild on this one. So the comments on this were like calling her everything but a good Christian woman.
Ooh.
What did she do?
His fans.
Nothing. But everyone hates Marantz, and if you hate the person, women. Then obviously whoever's in the picture with them, especially if it's their wife, then they're free game too.
No, it was his fans like calling her like a cheater and a terrible person.
Oh,
and, like,
yikes!
Horrible thing.
Super yikes.
Yeah, bro. Like,
I don't know if it's like I don't think it's probably their fans. I bet it's the Bed Bath & Beyond baggies, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think she looks great, but
yeah,
yeah, I don't think she deserves any hate. She didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, like she's no part of this. Like it's Moran's show. If you got a problem with Moran's, then
then just leave it with him. Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
So this one's for Amy.
Oh God.
Kristen Shaughnessy making the channel. This one's kind of cheating.
It does sound like he's implying he's been in Jimmy for 20 years.
Yes, that's why it's the stupid tweet of the week.
Rubbing. So Kristen Shaughnessy posted this securities litigation final verdict by the SEC. There's a slight problem because she calls it 2 men charged with market manipulation scheme for short and distort. But if you go to the article, you will find out really quick that the defendants were found to have been pumping the stock. They were paid They didn't disclose
Oh.
they didn't disclose that they had an interest in the company, and it was favorable, materially misleading articles about the company.
Wow.
Oops. And what's even funnier is all of her marks didn't realize that she left it in her tweet too. So
Oh my God.
imagine calling it a short and distort campaign and then putting the exact evidence that you're
hey,
lying.
That account that she is that she's tagging down there, that is one of the ones that the Capybara account said was pumping GTII. And is one of the first tier pumpers. Oh, yep. See, I followed them because I followed them right after I saw that. I was like, okay, let's see what they're up to.
Well, I might have to think. So that one's for Amy. My stupid tweet of the week is our favorite friend here. So first of all, we have one of the AMC baggies posting his share count and everything.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I've got to actually jump off here. I will
All right.
talk to you guys in a minute. Or in a little
All right. Amy, I have to talk to you
Okay,
about
love you, girl.
key cycle 1162 ASAP. So,
yeah, I know. I already know what you're talking about, but yeah, that's fine. I'll talk to you soon. I'm coming.
Bye.
All right. So he's showing his losses there, an 80% loss. That's believable. And that he has $13,000, about, a little over 13.5 at, this is the key part here. Joey, can you tell me how many shares he has?
It's a little blurry. 4,000 and change.
This is going to be key. So 4,000, 4,619. We'll call it 4,620 because like at that point you might as well round up.
Yeah.
So
he's lost 63 grand.
Yeah. So then we get number one cuck showing up on the scene. He's brought Grok to the show. Joey, there seems to be a problem with his math here. What do you see here that's wrong?
Oh my God. He's trying to say,
Well,
Jesus.
Yeah, no, he's using commas. He's mixing up commas and decimal points very clearly.
Oh my God. He thinks he owns 4 million shares.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because
thinks that the corrected book cost is $77 million. And the total return is actually negative.
Now, if you go back here,
$1 million.
like this math doesn't work out. And second of all, there's two theories on this. Either he put a comma in the period or Grok did and dropped the last 9. I'll let you decide who's the bigger retard. But if you do the actual calculator math, you get the same rough percentage as is in here, 82%.
So the math is right.
Imagine that. So not only can number one cuck John Hartronet not do basic fucking kindergartner math, he needs Grok to help him and still fuck it up.
Wow. Damn, that's a good one.
I fucking win. I better win.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, they just kept getting better and better. So
that's
I don't know.
A level of dumb I did not know was possible. But
yeah,
apparently
that was good.
It is. Apparently it is. So it seems like most of our YouTube people left. I will take X, Shitter, Twitter, whatever, if you want to comment who you thought won. But otherwise, I think Rubbing My Axe has the sole vote that decides the winner. So Amy and Abstentia, Joey. That's what I thought.
I agree.
I mean, I don't know how you can
one
beat that
for
level
X.
of stupid. That's just like, it was so special. And what's even better is if you go back to X, like he got into a fight with one of the AMC people who were pointing out the obvious I just said. And he's like, well, I'm not going to, he's saying that like, you're totally wrong. And, to email me so we can have a debate. Like there's no debating about it. You got your numbers wrong, dipshit. And then you needed Grok to help you with basic fucking calculator math. I don't know what to tell you there, but if you're taking advice from John Hartronet, cease and desist before your portfolio becomes even worse than it already looks. Anyway, that pretty much does it for tonight. Any closing thoughts for us, Joey, for this evening?
Free Karen.
Free Karen. I'm not sure what that's in reference to, but
Karen Reed.
Oh, okay, free Karen.
Can't
I
stop,
thought we
won't
were
stop.
talking about like someone was
Karen.
going toe to toe with the Target manager. Platinum, anything to leave us off.
Toe to toe. Oh my god. Not really. Just have a good Memorial Day weekend, everyone.
Yeah, have a good Memorial Day
everyone has
weekend.
some barbecue and gets to like chillax on
Drive
Monday.
safe.
Yeah, definitely take an Uber. Do not drink and drive, please.
Yeah, please don't. But yeah, you all have a great weekend. Hopefully you have Monday off and you can, party hardy on Sunday as well. So we'll see you next week.